Hello guys and welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about types of DPS you'll be needed to do in a raid environment. So beside two obvious ones, pure single target, which would be attacking only one target all the time during the encounter, such as is present on bosses like Festergut, for example, where for the whole fight you have absolutely nothing else to target and DPS beside boss. And pure AoE, where you would encounter only while trash cleaning pretty much. And those two are pretty understandable and easy to understand, and people don't have problem with that, but the problem happens where there is multi-target or cleave damage. Now the cleave damage is essential part, for example, of a Lich King fight. So whenever you have spirits on transition phase, that's cleave damage. Whenever you have Valkyries, that's cleave damage as well. And knowing how to execute that properly will yield you much better damage overall. So what that means is, for example, if these two targets are two spirits and we are DPSing the target number one and cleaving passively the other one. So in my case here, that would be like maybe having both dots on both of them, and I'm focusing on DPSing this one, but this one gets to point where it's on 30% of HP and the other one is on 70% of HP. So much beneficial damage overall for the raid is to switch on the 70% one and leave the 30% one to die from the passive cleave from the melees and from the dots from the range DPS. Because every dot you have, bleed, anything you have on a target and target dies and dot is still up, I mean it still has a lot of time remaining on that target, that's damage wasted. So this is why the cleave damage is really good damage if you know how to execute it properly. And in this case that would be, okay, target number one is on 30%, 20% or something like that, depending on on what's the target, of course, and on what's your overall raid DPS. And then switch, like on 20-30, switch on the other one and leave dots on the low HP one and passive cleave from the melees. And that's the main part why people struggle so much with Valkyrie damage. It's inefficient DPS. They are DPSing Lich King too much. I'm talking about here about 0% LOD. Like on 30% LOD you cannot struggle with anything. You are just bad if you are not able to kill Valkyries. That's it. You need to improve. Or your raid is super undergeared. Like super undergeared. Like 5k people. 5.5k gear score. So that's the cleave damage. For the range DPS, cleave damage, as I showed you, is more focused on the multi-dotting, and it's called like multi-dot. This is cleave, it's more of a melee DPS term, and multi-dot is more of a caster term. So for example, for me, how can I multi-dot? I have two dots. The problem with Boomkin, for example, is that dots are not as strong. So multi-dotting like 3 targets with your 1 dot, second dot, 1 dot, that's not efficient. So you still need to know how to do properly cleave damage or multi-dot damage with your class. So what works? You need to know your spells, you need to know what's efficient. For me, obviously, the most efficient thing is having Starfall. For mage, that would be Fireball, spell queuing, Living Bomb, switch on another target, do the same thing, switch on another target, do the same thing. And then, obviously if you have Hot Streak procs, you throw Pyroblast, instant Pyroblast in between. and so on and so on. You need to understand your class and how to efficiently do things, because if I do just like multi-dot, for me beneficially here is like, of course, have starfall and just like single target. It's better than multi-dotting, because if I put 6 dots, that's 6 global cooldowns, and they will do maybe like for 2 vrets I will do the damage the 6 dots will do, and that's 2 global cooldowns. So you need to understand your class, and obviously even there, this thing where you are switching on from low HP target to a higher HP target and leaving dots on the low HP one, that's gonna work for melees, for the range as well. Okay, that would be cleave and multi-dot damage. Now, of course, sometimes you will have additional targets, but one of those targets would be the target that is prioritized. So that's prior damage, and you need to understand the fight for this, because sometimes you just need to focus certain thing and other things are really unimportant. And this is where we encounter another type of a DPS required, so priority target and padding. So priority target and padding damage would be easily explained on a Lich King fight once again. Phase 1, Lich King is there and a bunch of ghouls are around. For the first 2 phases, for the first 2 let's say spawns of the ghouls, 2 waves of the ghouls, you need to cleave. And you need to cleave maybe a little bit more than just passive cleaving from abilities like Divine Storm and, you know, that you would do anyway on a single target. But after that, any damage that is intentional, that is not just part of your single target rotation and it happens that it cleaves around, that you will use after first 2 waves is wasted. You just want to prioritize damage on a Lich King, and that's the part with prior damage and understanding the fight. The padding damage is the damage that is literally useless, and in this case that would be you are intentionally cleaving all the first phase, even though there is no need to, because the whole necrotic mechanic is made for you to kill the ghouls, so you are not cleaving them, ghouls and shumblings, of course. So that would be padding, and then you would have like warriors that are just cleaving all the way first phase, last DPS on boss, first damage on ghouls. Absolutely useless, but the numbers are high. So yeah, I think that would be it. Hopefully you learn something new, hopefully you get some nice different points of view for DPSing, and if you liked it, subscribe to the channel for the weekly content, like the video if you liked it, yeah, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.